Evolution of the industry has changed to where record keeping is tremendously more important.
Made a new rule and everybody had to start keeping records.
Everything's documented.
In this video, we're going to talk about application records, how to easily convert a recommendation into an application record, and even show you some of the advanced features of our customized load sheets. Let's get started. You can see here on the records table, I have both recommendations and application records at the bottom. Recommendations either provided through an upload of a third-party system or from those recommendations that I created myself or that my fieldman wrote for me on the ApRecs platform. They all end up in one spot when they're ready to be turned into work, right here in the recommendations table. Now you'll see here that I have two recommendations with the same title and even with the same number. That's because recommendations can be written to multiple locations, but your application records need to be written to an individual location. And so we make that easy for you by breaking them out into separate rows where you can easily say, well, I want to go ahead and write the Valley recommendation and turn it into an application record. I'll select that, hit the Create Record button. ApRecs automatically pulls all of the information right into the detail, and you can start writing the details of your application record and be done in just a few moments. But before we do that, let's go ahead and go back to the beginning and show you all of the options that you have starting at the very top. Once you get used to application records, you'll enjoy being brought down to the bottom detail row where you can quickly just get to your work. But let's go ahead and recap what an application record contains. Up at the top, of course, of this application record is your date. This date should be the date of record, so it should always be within 24 hours of the first date of application. So if I started to keep record of application by writing it on my work order last Friday, I'd go ahead and choose last Friday as the record date. You always want to make sure that date is within 24 hours of the first date of application. The title is brought over from your recommendation if you're fieldman, or you put that on your recommendation. If you want to change it into something that's more meaningful for you, by all means, please do so. Titles are a great way to sort and filter your information, especially when you have several recommendations or several application records in your tables. Titles are an easy way to go back and find what you're looking for. Now, this particular recommendation was written to the Valley. I can go ahead and change by simply typing in or selecting any of those locations there, which brings over the information for applicators automatically. Now, if you don't have the name and address of your orchard in your application record already, because perhaps you used a third-party system or it wasn't defined by your fieldman, that'll be blank. If that information is blank, you're unable to choose fields and applicators below because we need to know where you're at. So just simply start typing the name, and as soon as you type a few letters, your options of that location information will appear, and you can just choose that location information, and it will automatically pull over that information for you. Remember, when you set up your locations under the My Account, that's where you'll want to use those same names of your locations. So if you have any questions of those, you can always refer back to My Account, look at the names of your locations, or change them to be the names that you'd like, and those will be the names that you'll search for here. Choosing the licensed applicator allows me to pull over all of that license information to the record. Now I can start to keep my application record. I'll choose the recording units for tanks, gallons, or units. Units would be something like a mating disruption or putting out puffers per unit application, whereas gallons or tanks should be self-explanatory. Some people like to record how many tanks they sprayed. Others have a flow meter that want to record the gallons. You can choose whichever preference that suits you. You'll notice down here at the detail, we have that preference written on the detail as well as on the load sheets, which I'll show you in just a moment. For today's demonstration, we're going to go ahead and choose gallons. The tank size and the spray volume were indicated on the recommendation, but they can be changed here. If I change that, it'll automatically adjust my rate per tank, so I don't have to do the math. Now, if you're using multiple tanks, we'll show you in the load sheet section how you can have multiple tank values printed for the guys in the field so that they can easily see what to put in the different size tanks. For now, let's go ahead and just say we have a 400-gallon tank. I can insert my safety information here or later after the work's been completed. In the product table, we brought over all the information from the recommendation, but I'm still full control of what I want to have on my application record. So if I use a different product or I want to maybe change a rate, I can hover my mouse over the rate field and it'll show me which the label values are for that particular rate. Now remember, label values are based upon the crop and the target, as well as the location, the state or jurisdiction that you're in. And so all of those may affect the label rate. I can always go back and view the label for a particular product if I want to adjust or read up on that by clicking the label icon down here at the bottom. This allows me to go through and read the label to determine if I have the appropriate rates. It opens in a new tab, so I can just close that tab and I'm right back where I left off. Let's say I want to go ahead and adjust that rate, maybe down to 8 per acre. If I accidentally make a mistake, the system will prompt me to let me know, hey, you might want to check that. Of course, I want to go back. Now, maybe I don't want to calculate my rates by acre. I prefer to use per 100 gallon. You can do it either place. We'll do the math backwards for you. We'll also validate it to make sure you didn't make a mistake. If I want to delete a product or add a product or change the order of a product, I can do so using these buttons here in the lower left-hand corner. And of course, as I showed you, reference information is off to the right, including the label, the MSDS, or even the original recommendation if I want to go back to the source document that generated this record. Feel free to play with this application record table. You can get used to adding products by hitting this Adding Product button at the bottom and start searching for the name of that product. Just as we were adding locations in the beginning, if I type a few letters, the information will show up here and I can choose the appropriate record. I'm going to delete that from this. I just wanted to show you how to do it. Keep in mind when you're adding products that we do use the exact label name. So if you have a name that's spelled differently or contains a hyphen or a dash, you'll want to be sure to use that. Sometimes less is more. The less you type, the broader the search terms. So you can go ahead and get used to adding products. Feel free to play with that. And if you have any questions, you can always contact support and we'll be happy to help you. So hopefully this video has been helpful for you to show you how you can use just the basic functionality as well as the more advanced functionality of load sheets and individual details by blocks. ApRecs is flexible to work the way that you work. Make it easy for you by trying it out, finding what works for you, and if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call, shoot us an email, or use this helpful contact section here at the top where you can chat with an operator or go ahead and pull up a help file right here. We thank you for using ApRecs. Have a great day.